Hi everyone, my name is Blair and I'm so incredibly excited to be here with you all today. Let's all meet seated in Sukhasana or easy pose with legs crossed like a butterfly. This can be a nice place to sit on a blanket or place blocks under your knees, whatever allows you to feel completely present. You can have your hands at heart center or you can place them on your lap or on your knees, palms up or palms down, whatever feels nice. Begin to deepen and slow your breathing, feeling completely supported by the ground beneath you. Imagine a string attached to the top of your head, pulling you upwards, lengthening your spine. All the while, your roots are sinking deeply into the ground beneath you. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Allow yourself to feel both relaxed yet completely present. While we are here, we're going to introduce some Ashtanga-based techniques that I invite you to incorporate in today's practice, and maybe also when you leave the mat. So the first thing we're going to introduce is the Ujjayi or victorious breath. On your next inhale, take a deep breath in through your nose, then exhale through your mouth, making a hissing noise. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to keep our mouths closed while trying to maintain that hissing sound. Sometimes this is called Darth Vader breathing. So inhale, exhale. Next, we're going to introduce one of our bandhas called the Uddiyana Bandha. If you want to see what this feels like, place a hand just beneath your belly button. With each inhale, completely fill up the belly, completely empty the belly, feeling the navel sinking toward the spine. Notice how when you exhale, you can use your core muscles to really draw your belly in. Sometimes I'll refer to this as knitting the ribs in, and this type of engagement is going to be exceptionally helpful in keeping your body nice and stable throughout the practice. So let's practice keeping that core engagement on both our in-breath and out-breath. Imagine hugging in your core on your exhale and then holding that engagement when you inhale, being sure that you are breathing in fully. This may take some practice, so it's okay if it's challenging right now. Lastly, let's introduce the drishti or gaze. Since we are seated and our neck is neutral, let's find a gaze just in front of us and allow that gaze to soften. This will be helpful in finding stability throughout your practice today. Sometimes easy pose is the best place to practice certain meditative techniques, so I invite you to incorporate all three of the things we've just discussed here: our Ujjayi or victorious breathing, our Uddiyana Bandha, core engagement, and finally, our drishti. So let's get moving a little bit. Let's start by doing some seated neck rolls. With your hands on your knees and your spine nice and tall, we're going to move with our breath. So on your inhale, gently roll your head to the right, bringing your right ear to your right shoulder. Exhale, chin to the sky. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, slowly roll your chin to your chest. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin to sky. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Do a few on your own with your own breathing. And now let's reverse. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, chin to sky. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Do a few of those on your own, moving slowly and mindfully. waking up your neck muscles, preparing your body for today's practice. Now we'll do some shoulder rolls. So on your next inhale, slowly roll your shoulders up and back. Exhale, down and forward. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, down and forward. Do a few on your own with your own breathing. And now let's reverse. Inhale, back and up. Exhale, down and forward. Inhale, back and up. Exhale, down and forward. Do a few of your own on your own breath. So now some seated vinyasa. So on your inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, side bend to the right, turning your head to look to the left. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, side bend to the left, turning your head to look up to the right. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, place your left hand on top of your right knee and twist to the right, bringing your right hand behind you for support. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, place your right hand on top of your left knee, twist to the left, bringing your left hand behind you for support. Inhale, release the twist, clasp your hands behind your back, arch your back to shine your chest, and exhale, release your hands and fold your torso over your legs, bringing your hands to the floor above your head. And inhale, rise back to Sukhasana. We're going to repeat this a few more times. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, release your twist and clasp your hands behind your back. Oops, and shine your chest. And exhale, fold over your legs to release. Inhale, come back to seated. Take a full breath here. And on your inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, clasp your hands behind your back. Shine your chest. Exhale, fold over your legs to release. And inhale, come back to seated. We're going to do this one more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, clasp your hands behind your back, shining your chest, and exhale, fold over your legs to release. When you're ready, slowly make your way to tabletop with your knees stacked under your hips and your wrists stacked beneath your shoulders. We're going to do a few rounds of cat and cow. So on your inhale, arch your back, lift your gaze, tailbone rises. Exhale, pushing through the palms and shoulders, rounding your back. Draw the navel in. Inhale, shine your chest. Exhale, curl the navel in. Continue a few more rounds with your own breath. We're going to make our way to child's pose. Sit back onto your feet. Keep your knees close together or spread them slightly apart, whatever feels best for you. Allow your torso to melt into your thighs, bringing your forehead to the mat or a block. Your hands can rest overhead or alongside you. You can gently roll your forehead side to side here to give your third eye a nice little massage and release any tension you may be holding here. Any thoughts that may be arising in this moment, allow them to just be. You may notice that by allowing them to be, you see them for what they are: transient, flowing, impermanent. We have the freedom to choose not to cling to our thoughts every single day. Yoga reminds us that we can live like the ocean, ever flowing, ever free, ever light. Like little droplets of water from the midst of each ocean wave, allow your mind to flow like the ocean with the tides of your breathing, here for a moment and back out to sea. We are completely unperturbed by the flow of our mind's tide. Slowly bringing awareness back into your body, let's prepare to slowly crank up our movement just a tad so we can fill our bodies with some renewing and healing energy. Wherever your arms are resting, bring them to the mat overhead to prepare for modified plank. Inhale, press into your hands to move forward, keeping your knees and shins on the mat for modified plank. Press into the tops of your feet to take pressure off your knees. Exhale, lower your pelvis to the floor, bending your elbows to 90 degrees. Hug your arms into your ribs and slowly lower your forehead to the mat. On your next inhale, press into your hands, engage the muscles of your upper back, and come into low cobra, allowing your chest to shine. And exhale, move slowly back into child's pose. Take a nice deep breath here. We're going to do that flow a few more times, so go ahead. Inhale, come into modified plank. Exhale, bend the elbows, lower down. Inhale, press into low cobra. Exhale, press up and back into child's pose. Nice. Do this flow a few times with your own breathing. On your next inhale, we're going to meet in tabletop by coming onto all fours, remembering to stack your hips above your knees and your shoulders above your wrists. We're going to move into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So press into your hands, untuck your toes, and lift your hips up and back to come into down dog. Our hands are active here as we press our chest in the direction of our thighs and work toward melting our heels into the mat. Take a nice deep breath here. We're going to make our way to standing in just a minute, so whenever you're ready, on your next inhale, walk your feet in between your hands. We're going to make our way into a gentle forward fold, Uttanasana, and then very slowly and with intention, roll up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Your head the last to rise up. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive down into full forward fold, Uttanasana. We're going to make our way into a half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. So get your blocks handy. This is a really nice place for blocks. And on your next inhale, we're going to lift into Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Hands on shins is fine. You can put your hands on blocks or hands on the mat, whatever works for you. We're going to make our way to plank. So when you're ready, exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back. We're going to lower into tabletop first. Remembering to engage your core, step your feet back into a high plank, and step back into a downward facing dog. We're going to do a nice little flow. So on your inhale, come to plank, engaging the core, and exhale, move into downward facing dog. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, 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 downward facing dog. One more inhale to high plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to be here for a few breaths. So find a dog that works for you. You can try lengthening your dog by moving your feet back or shortening by moving your feet forward. Taking any intuitive movements. Pressing firmly into your hands. Finding your down dog that suits your body. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward into Ardha Uttanasana, half lift. Exhale, full forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, let's do this again. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, full forward fold. Hanging the head heavy. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back into high plank. Take a full breath here. Exhale, lower the knees to the mat. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Untuck your toes and gently lower your belly and your forehead to the mat. On your next inhale, press into your hands and shine your chest into Cobra. And on your next exhale, make your way to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, finding the stance that works for you. Remember to engage your Uddiyana Bandha, active fingers, active toes. Find any intuitive movements. And on your next inhale, walk your hands forward into a half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, full forward fold, Uttanasana. We're going to incorporate chair pose by doing a nice little chair flow. So with your feet parallel and hip width apart, bend the knees, scoop the arms up and overhead, bringing the hands to touch. Sink deeply back into your hips. On your next exhale, hinge forward from the hips into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, back into chair pose. Exhale, melt, Uttanasana. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, melt into Uttanasana. Do a couple of these on your own with your own breathing. And at the bottom of our Uttanasana, we're going to prepare to rise. So inhale, come back. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, full forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant the hands, step the feet back into a high plank. Take a full breath here. And exhale, lower the knees, untuck the toes, lower the belly, chin and chest. Inhale into Cobra. And exhale into Downward Facing Dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pressing firmly into the hands, your chest melting toward your thighs. Finding any intuitive movement here that feels nice. Maybe lengthen your dog or shorten your dog to find the stance that works for you. And on your next inhale, walk your hands forward into half lift. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. And we're going to inhale and rise back into chair pose. This time we're going to hold our chair pose for a few breaths, so make sure your toes are active by lifting them up and lowering them back down into the mat, engaging your core, pressing hands together overhead. Your quads should be nice and engaged. Strong core, strong legs, active toes, active fingers here. Pressing weight into your heels. Breathing deeply here, we're going to make our way back to standing Tadasana as a transition to the next pose. We're going to move into crescent, so starting with our right leg, step your right foot back, come onto the ball of your right foot and spike your right heel up. Bend into your left knee, crescent lunge. Inhale, arms overhead. Your knees should be stacked just above your toes. And if you find that you're overarching in your back, engage the core by knitting the ribs in. Strong arms overhead, active fingers. From crescent, we're going to move into warrior one. So, when you're ready, turn and lower your back heel outward toward the floor. And you can play with your stance here. Maybe explore placing your back leg to the left or to the right a little bit. Engaging your core. Your bent knee should be stacked above your toes. Your arms and hands should be nice and active here. Your torso facing forward. You want active energy radiating through your arms with active fingers. This is a super empowering pose. Breathe deeply through your roots. And when you're ready, step your right foot forward to meet back in Tadasana. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So bringing your left foot back into a crescent lunge, spike your left heel up, bend into your right knee, and arms overhead. Make sure you stack your knee just above your ankle and have active arms here, active fingers, active toes. Remember to engage the core here. If you find that you are collapsing in your lower back, knit the ribs in. And now lower your heel to the floor to come into Virabhadrasana 1. And again, you can play with your stance to see what works for you. Make sure you keep your knees stacked above your toes and bring your arms overhead. Nice active arms. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. If you find that your front knee is caving in, try to engage your quad muscles and maybe change your stance a little bit to find a warrior one that fits your body. And on your next inhale, step your left foot forward to meet back in Tadasana. We're going to move into Padangusthasana, hand to big toe pose. So step your feet hip width apart. Inhale, lift your gaze and shine your chest. And exhale, fold forward, bringing your hands toward your big toes. If they land on your shins or around your ankles, that's completely okay. And bending your knees here or incorporating blocks may be really nice. To pull deeper in this pose, clasp your peace fingers around your big toes. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And exhale, fold deeper into the pose. You want to make sure you maintain length in the spine. So with each inhale, imagine growing taller through your crown, and with each exhale, allow yourself to melt deeper into the pose. Remember, you can use blocks, you can use your shins, you can use your toes, anything that will allow you to comfortably compress yourself into this pose. And your drishti for this pose is your nose. And as always, remember to be mindful of your core. Breathe deeply. And on your next inhale, come to a half lift, release your toes, and rise to standing. We're going to bring our feet out wide toward the long edge of the mat. Turn your right toes toward the short end of the mat. Turn your left toes in slightly. Inhale, arms out wide. Exhale, hinge to the right, bringing your hand to either a block on the outside of your shin, or you can melt your hand down your shin and bring your left arm to the sky. Your gaze should be just beyond your left hand. If you want to take the pose a bit deeper, you can reach for your big toes with your peace fingers, but if you find that you're collapsing in your torso, maybe just ease up a bit and bring your hand up higher onto your shin. Imagine your body in between a plane of glass. This is how we want to keep our joints stacked in this pose. Nice and active. Inhale, rise to standing, arms out wide. We're going to move into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Your back foot should be parallel with the short end of the mat. Bend into your right knee, arms out wide. Turn your chest toward the long edge of the mat. As always, feel free to play with your stance to find a Warrior 2 that works for you. Remember to keep your knees stacked above your ankle. You want to maintain a long line of energy that radiates from the back fingertips all the way through your front fingertips. And your drishti should be just beyond your front fingertips. Remember to engage your core bandha here. And next we're going to move into extended side angle pose, Utthita Parsvakonasana. So grab your blocks. This is a really nice place to incorporate blocks into your practice. You can bring your right hand to a block on the outside of your right shin and bring your left arm overhead and rotate your torso toward the front edge of the mat. You're creating a long line of energy that radiates from your back toes all the way through your left fingertips. You also have the option of resting your right forearm onto your right thigh. And if you want to go a bit deeper, you can place your right hand to the outside of your right foot, but remember to keep your joints stacked. We want to maintain that nice long line of energy that radiates from our foot through our fingertips. You want active fingers here, breathing deeply into the pose. And on your next inhale, rise to standing, bringing your toes toward the long edge of the mat. We're going to do the same flow on the other side. So turn your left toes out to the left and your right toes in just slightly. Hinge to the left, bringing your left hand to a block on the outside of your shin or melting it down your shin. Rotate your ribs toward the front and bring your right arm to the sky. We're creating that long line of energy through your arms with active fingers. Remember to stack your joints here, no matter what variation you take. This is Utthita Trikonasana. And again, if your joints are stacked, you can melt your hand toward your big toe and grab your big toe with your peace fingers. But if you find that you're collapsing, maybe back out just a bit. You want to imagine that your body is between two planes of glass and maintain that stacking of the joints. You may find more flexibility on this side, and that's totally normal. And on your next inhale, rise to standing. Pivot your right foot just a tad so that it's parallel with the back of the mat. We're moving into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And again, feel free to play with your stance to find a Warrior 2 that works for you. Arms out wide, active energy radiating through your fingertips. Rotate your torso toward the long edge of the mat. And remember to engage your core bandha here. Remember to breathe deeply into the pose and keep your knees stacked just above your ankles. We're going to prepare to move into Utthita Parsvakonasana, so get your blocks handy and bring your block to the outside of your left foot and lower your left hand to the block. Right arm reaches overhead, nice and strong. We want to maintain that long line of energy that radiates from our back toes all the way through our fingertips. You can also rest your left forearm onto your left thigh and stretch the right arm overhead. Remember to engage your core. And if you want to go a bit deeper, you can bring your hand to the outside of your foot, but you want to maintain length in the spine and keep the torso twisting forward. You want to have active fingertips through here. And on your next inhale, rise to standing. We're going to turn our toes toward the long edge of the mat and bring them a bit wider than last time. We're going to move into Prasarita Padottanasana. And go ahead and get your blocks handy. Arms to waist. Inhale, shine the chest. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. And place your hands in between your feet, either on the mat or on blocks, whatever feels nice. And you can also rest your forehead on blocks. Try to maintain a micro bend in your knees to avoid locking them out. And you also want to try to maintain a long spine. So if you notice that you're rounding in the spine, try to lengthen. Remember to relax your shoulders away from your ears. Notice any tension in your face or jaw. And as always, remember to breathe deeply and fully. And on your next exhale, bring your hands to your waist and inhale, rise to standing. We're going to walk our feet toward the top of the mat to meet back in Tadasana. We're moving into Padangustasana, and this can be a nice place for a strap. I don't have a strap, I have a sock, so that works too. So go ahead and get that handy. We're going to start by lifting our right leg. So bring weight into your left leg. Bring your right knee to your chest. Put the strap under the ball of your right foot. And extend your right heel to straighten your lifted leg. You can also drop the strap and grab your big toe with your peace fingers and extend out straight again. Be mindful of your core here. This is going to be really helpful in keeping that leg straightened and lifted. Shine through your chest and relax your shoulders away from your ears. And finally, exhale to release your clasp and lower your leg. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, so bringing weight into your right leg. Grab your strap, place it under the ball of your left foot, bring your knee to your chest, and extend out. And if you want to drop your strap, you can grab your left toe with your left peace fingers and extend again. Broaden through the collarbone, and remember to breathe deeply. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Be mindful of your core. Let it keep you strong in this pose. And on your next exhale, release your clasp or the strap and lower your leg. We're going to meet back in Tadasana. We're going to do a little vinyasa, so inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward Uttanasana. Inhale, press into half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back into high plank. Take a breath here. And exhale down into your Chaturanga Dandasana variation. And inhale into Cobra. And exhale, push up and back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Finding your way to seated with your legs stretched out in front. We're moving into Dandasana. Bring your hands to the mat, either behind you slightly or alongside your hips. Engage your core and maintain active toes here. Engage your quads by lifting your kneecaps and press into the ground, shining your chest, broaden through the collarbone. If bending your knees here is helpful, that's always an option. This pose can be a really nice pose to practice our Uddiyana Bandha, so maybe try working on that core engagement while we're here. As your sacrum roots into the ground, your spine lengthens nice and tall. We're going to move into a modified Purvottanasana. So from seated, bend your knees, feet are hip distance apart. Keep your hands where they are, but ensure that your fingertips are facing forward. Press evenly into your hands and your feet and engage your glutes to draw your pelvis toward the sky. Imagine a string pulling you up from the navel, and your head should be aligned with your spine. Gaze is up. If you aren't feeling this pose today, you can get the same benefits by doing Dandasana with your hands behind you so that you're shining the chest and getting a nice back bend. Press into the hands. Remember to engage your core. That'll help you maintain a solid foundation in this pose. Your glutes are engaged and your throat is nice and open. On your next exhale, slowly come out of this pose and meet in a seated position. We're going to be moving into Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So on your exhale, fold forward, reaching toward your toes. Place your hands on your shins, ankles, or grab your big toes, leading with your chest. As you hinge forward, try to maintain a long spine. So if you notice that you're rounding in your spine, maybe back out just a little bit. Maintain length in the spine, shine your chest, and compress into this pose. If you're grabbing your toes with your peace fingers, you can gently pull yourself toward your thighs to go deeper into the pose. Let's breathe deeply here and try to maintain active legs. On your next inhale, release your clasp, lengthen the spine, and rise to seated. We're going to move into Janu Sirsasana, so go ahead and grab your strap in case you want to use it. Bring your left foot into your right inner thigh and straighten your right leg. Grab your strap, place it underneath the ball of your foot, and hinge forward, shining with your chest. You can also grab a hold of your shin or your ankle or the ball of your foot to go deeper into the pose. Avoid rounding the spine by leading with your chest. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Each inhale, you grow taller through the spine, and each exhale, go deeper into the pose while maintaining length in the spine. And on your next inhale, slowly rise and do the same thing on the other side. You're going to bring your right foot into the inner left thigh and your left leg straightened, putting the strap under the ball of your left foot. Lead with your chest into a compression. And again, you can grab your shins or your ankles or the ball of your foot and go deeper into the pose. Again, avoid rounding in the spine by shining your chest toward your toes. And while you're here, feel free to give yourself a nice little foot massage. Notice any tension in your neck or jaw. And on our next inhale, we're going to rise back to seated like we were in Dandasana. We're going to move into Navasana or boat pose and do a little bit of core work. This is where our Ujjayi breath and our core bandha are going to be super helpful for us. So leading with your chest, bring your hands under your knees. We're going to start with a modified Navasana. And if you want to jump straight into Navasana, feel free to do that. With your hands behind your knees, lift your legs with bent knees on an inhale. Your shins should be parallel to the floor. Breathe deeply here and remember to engage your core. Melting your navel toward your spine in your core engagement is going to be really helpful for you here. Broaden through the collarbones, breathe deeply into the pose. And exhale, lower your legs, plant your feet. We're going to take a super quick break. All right, now we're going to move into another variation. With knees bent, straighten your legs and take your hands from behind your knees and bring them out straight with active fingers, remembering to engage your core by knitting your ribs in. You should have nice active fingers here, nice active toes, broaden the collarbone, breathe deeply. And lower. We're going to take a nice little rest. because we're going to be moving into full Navasana next, or you can stay where we were, whatever feels nice. So on your next inhale, lift and straighten both legs, engaging your core with your feet together and your toes pointed, your chest shining. Straighten your arms to frame your knees, palms facing each other. Breathe deeply here. If at any point you want to grab the back of your knees, that's always available to you. And on your next exhale, with control, release the pose. We're going to give ourselves one more break because we're going to do one more full Navasana or variation, whatever works for you. Breathe fully and deeply here, engaging your core. Active fingers, active toes, broadening through your collarbones. And exhale, release with control. We're going to move into Baddha Konasana, so go ahead and get your block handy. This can be a really nice place to sit on a block. And on your next exhale, grabbing your feet, draw both your feet in toward your groin area. If you want to keep your soles together, your knees can be off the mat. You can also try opening your feet like a book with thumbs on the soles of your feet and fingers on top. And work toward melting your knees toward the mat. We want to maintain a nice long spine here. You have the option of lowering your forehead to a mat, but make sure that you maintain length in the spine if you do that. Otherwise, you can sit up nice and tall and engage your Bandha and your Ujjayi breathing. If you find that you're rounding in the spine, shine your chest. This can be a really nice place to practice your core and engagement. Feeling your navel sinking toward your spine with each exhale. We're going to move into a wide angle forward fold, so be sure to have your blocks handy. On your next exhale, separate your feet and open your legs toward the wide edge of the mat. Flex your feet, point your toes, root down with your thighs so your knees and quads are facing the ceiling. And you can grab another block too. Inhale, lengthen the spine and gaze forward. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips, walking your hands forward and bringing your torso forward and down between your legs. This can be a super nice place for a block, so feel free to prop yourself up on a block if that feels nice. If it's in your practice to reach for your feet, you can do that at any point. It's not in my practice, so I'm not going to do that. Notice if you're rounding in the spine, and if you are, try to maintain length. Breathe deeply into the pose and melt deeper into the mat. On your next inhale, slowly start to walk your hands back toward your body and sit up. And when you're ready, straighten the legs. We're going to prepare to meet on our backs. With an exhale, find your way to your back and bend your knees. Bring your feet underneath you, flat on the floor. Pressing your shoulders into the floor, lift your hips up, engage your glutes. Your hands can be interlaced underneath you, or you can reach toward your ankles. You can also support yourself by bending your elbows and placing your hands on your lower back. Breathe deeply and remember to engage your core here. On your next exhale, slowly and with control, lower down to the mat. We're going to do one more Paschimottanasana. So straighten your legs, and on your next exhale, fold forward, reaching toward your toes. You can place your hands on the shins or ankles, or you can grab your big toes with your peace fingers. And a bend in the knee is always fine here. Whatever you do, try to maintain a long spine. Inhale to lengthen the spine and shine the chest, and exhale, move deeper into the pose. Avoid rounding the back and shine your chest. Feel free to give yourself a nice little foot massage here. You totally deserve it. And on your next inhale, release the toes, lengthen the spine, and come back to seated. Just a heads up, we're going to make our way into plow pose, halasana. So when you're ready, make your way to your backs. And if you have any upper neck injuries, I would avoid this pose altogether. An alternative is to bring your knees into your chest and reach your forehead toward your toes. To move into plow, bring your hands alongside you, bend your knees, press into your hands to roll your torso and hips up and over. Your hands can support your lower back, or they can remain on the floor. Reach your toes behind you on the floor above your head. If at any point you feel discomfort in your neck, come out of this pose. Breathe deeply here. Inhale to prepare to come out of this pose. Exhale, slowly lower out of the pose, remembering to use your core to guide your legs down. As a counter pose, we're going to move into fish pose. So place your hands on the floor behind your back. You can grab a block too. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and roll your arms under you. Press into your elbows and forearms to lift your chest and drop your head back, opening your throat. You can rest the crown of your head on the floor, or you can keep it lifted while pressing to your hands and forearms. You can also place a block at the base of your skull to help open your throat. And again, if you feel any discomfort in this pose or in your neck, come out of the pose. We're working on opening our throat. Remember to be mindful of your core as you're breathing deeply in this pose. On an inhale, prepare your body to exit the pose. Exhale, slowly release your arms and come out of the pose with control. We're going to move into Supta Padangusthasana, reclined big toe pose. This can be a really nice place to incorporate your strap, so go ahead and get that handy. So make your way to your back. On your next inhale, raise your right leg. And if you're using your strap, wrap it around the ball of your right foot and pull the strap toward your nose. You can also grab the outside of your right shin or your right big toe. And you're going to be pulling your toes toward your nose. And wherever you are, place a hand on your left thigh to keep it on the mat. Breathe deeply here. On an exhale, we're going to open the hips by lowering the right leg toward the mat to the right. And feel free to adjust your grip. Maybe you want to incorporate a strap here, or you can bend your knee, placing your right hand on top of your right knee, and also place your left hand on top of your left thigh to keep your thigh on the mat. On your next inhale, slowly return your leg to the center and release it to the mat. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So if you want to use a strap, go ahead and get that handy. On your next inhale, raise your left leg. You can use a strap or grab the outside of your left shin or grab your big toe. Remember to place a hand on your right thigh to keep it on the mat. Breathe deeply here. On your next exhale, we're going to open our hips to the left by lowering our left leg. And you can have a bent knee here, use a strap, or grip your big toe. And remember, you can back out of this pose at any point. On your next inhale, slowly return your leg to the center. And with control, release it to the mat, engaging your core. We're going to come back to our backs. And we're going to give our hips and lower backs one more nice twist. So bend your left leg and place your foot flat on the floor next to your right knee. Place your right hand on top of your left knee and gently guide your left knee toward the floor, turning your gaze to the left. Allow the weight of gravity to give your body a nice cleansing twist. Breathe deeply here. On your next inhale, slowly untwist. We're going to go ahead and switch sides. Bend your right leg and place your foot flat on the floor next to your left knee. Place your left hand on top of your right knee. With an exhale, gently guide your right knee toward the floor and turn your gaze to the right. Imagine your body is like a washcloth that is being wrung out, cleansing your body of yesterday's stressors to face the day with a new perspective. And on your next inhale, slowly untwist and hug your knees into your chest, giving your body a nice hug. Our bodies do so much for us every single day. I invite you to take this moment to thank your amazing body for all that it does for you. While gravity pulls your thighs into your chest and your back melts into the mat, allow your mind to soften. Feel free to gently rock side to side to give yourself a nice little back massage. Take one more full breath here. And on your next exhale, slowly lower your legs. We're going to meet in our final resting pose, Shavasana. This pose is the most important pose of the entire class. It allows you to fully absorb the healing aspects of this practice. So allow your body to sink into the mat, feeling completely supported by the ground beneath you. Allow your breath to be natural. For the next few moments, allow your mind and body to completely just be. No forcing, no effort. Just be here now. Allow your eyes to close. Allow your body to rest. Just be here now. Slowly bring awareness back to your body. Maybe wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe finding some gentle movements in your wrists and ankles. When you're ready, hug your knees into your chest once more, filling your body with a sense of gratitude for all that it does for you. And roll to your right side and gently push yourself up to seated. We're going to take a moment in either easy pose or lotus to allow our bodies and minds to fully integrate all the healing elements of this practice. Feel your sits bones rooting into the mat. All the while, you are growing taller like a tree through the top of your head. Allow yourself to feel completely supported by the ground beneath you. This pose is always available to you. And bringing some awareness back, I want to thank you all for joining me today. It was my pleasure guiding you in this Ashtanga-inspired Vinyasa flow. Namaste.